What's up, everybody? This is episode 105 of Hoops Talk with Dave's joint. For those who haven't checked out any of our episodes, go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But before we start, shout outs to our friends, the Players Circle. They're one of the brand new active apps for basketball out here. If you want to post your highlights, if you want to post your pictures in the hopes that coaches will find you, go check out this app. Download it at the App Store, iPhones only, the Players Circle. Check it out. But without further ado, we have a very special guest on here tonight. He's a native of Los Angeles, California, but he now lives in New England, specifically Massachusetts. He's a head coach at one of the most prominent AAU programs in New England, Mass Rivals, and he also coaches at Brimmer May School in Massachusetts. I give you tonight Mr. Tom Nelson. Tom, thank you for coming on to share your testimony.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on.
Indeed. So let's get started. My very first question is, since you're a coach, what's your Tom Nelson's coaching philosophy?
Main is play hard and compete. Those are my two most important things I'm looking for is play hard and compete. I like competitors and I want you to play hard. If you don't do those two things, then right there off the bat, we really can't rock. I coach hard, so I need my players to play hard. And if you don't want to compete, you don't want to be in the fire, you don't want to go out in the kitchen and get hot, then I can't mess with you either.
Indeed.
So it's pretty simple. I don't have a whole lot. Like that's where we start, and then after that it builds from there. But if we can't start with the foundation of that, then we just can't start. And I want to make sure that when I'm coaching, when someone walks out, they say, "Man, that group plays hard." Then I know I'm coaching. All the X's and O's is cool, and all that other stuff is cool. But if you don't say your team plays hard and take on your identity, then and they don't compete, then that ain't really what we're about.
Well said. So let's start from the beginning. So when did basketball first start for you?
I grew up first. I've had an interesting life. I grew up I was born in Salem, Oregon, and my mother was only 17 years old when she had me. So I went to go live with my grandparents in California. We lived in a small town in California. I was only 7 months old, and there was only one stoplight and one gas station. So it's
Wow.
very small. You can look it up. It's called Likely, California. It's very small. So from early age, there wasn't much to do. My grandfather worked on a railroad. He actually would go to work when you push one of those things down the track to get to work. And I was bored. And one day he put up a hoop, but he put the hoop up way too high. I'm like 3 years old, and it's like he put it at regulation. I'm 3. I can't touch that. So I spent a lot of years trying to throw balls up to that hoop and never getting them in. But he'd have me running and stuff and all that. So then I got to go back and stay with my mother in Oregon. By that time, we were living in Portland. And there I had a lot of cousins and friends who played ball in the first grade, second grade. And that's when I started picking up the ball and trying to play. And that got me started. And from that point on, I've been hooked.
Mm. So you were raised mainly in LA, right?
Yeah, after I did that little stint in Oregon, I went to school in Los Angeles, middle school, and then into first year or so in high school. I was in LA. I'd always been in California. Because my family's all lives in California. Only my mother had moved to Oregon, but all my family, real family, were all living in Los Angeles. So even when I was in Oregon, we were always in California. We was always in Los Angeles with all my cousins and my family. But then my mom, we moved there for good when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to LA, then ball became serious because it was a different level of ball they played. They played different than we did in Oregon, and it was hot all the time. So that's all we did. I mean, we was outside. We didn't really ball inside that much. We was outside with the chains on as the nets, and we were out there getting it in until nighttime. I mean, it stayed lighter out there, so we was just hooping. I can remember doing that until I left to go to prep school, come out east to go to prep school.
Mm. So what was What was it like growing up in LA? What part of LA did you grow up in? And what was the basketball culture like out there?
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. So my house, my grandma's house is on 76 and off of East. It's off of between Hooper and Central, and then my house was on 32nd and Normandy. So I was down by USC,
Mm.
and it's tough, man. It's in the 90s in South Central. We're talking real gangs, like um, gang culture was everywhere, it was abundant, and you had to figure out how to survive in that culture. I learned some Spanish, so I could hang out. So the Florentia Treces and the F-13s basically wouldn't would look at me as a Moreno, so that would be cool, So and then I lived in my whole family. We lived Piru, so I had to like you got to be careful. You got to support your family in your area. But then everywhere I walked was through, it could be East Coast Crip territory or whatever. So it was just you had to learn how to survive and what you need to do. The good thing is that because I hooped, I got a pass a lot. A lot of people gave me passes because I could hoop. So I was able to go into different neighborhoods. You still got to know where you're at. You still got to understand, what you're doing. And you got to hopefully have some friends in that area. But you have to figure it out. And I was able to figure that out very quickly. The hoop was different, man. I'm just telling you, like Paul Pierce and then was around. I mean, we was playing ball at a high level. We spent time at Venice Beach playing. We spent time at UCLA playing with all the other college kids and pros up in Westwood. I mean, you just had it was, the high school was the high schools are jumping, man. I mean, it's packed. The games are intense. There's NBA type talent all over the place. There's high level Division I college players all over the place. So it prepared me. I didn't get to stay because I left. I was in ninth grade, went to Fairfax, and they were one of the nationally ranked teams in the country. But then I left. I was pretty good in school. And just, if y'all don't understand the magnitude of South Central at that time, you could just be in the wrong, being growing up black in the area, man, you could, Mexicans were trying to kill you if they could, and blacks were trying to kill you if they could. And I lived through the LA riots. So like my mother was like, once, I had this opportunity to go to school back out east, even though I didn't want to do it because I'm LA to the end, like if anybody knows me, I rep my city and my hood, but it was time for me to go and try to do something to change my family's life, not just my own. So at 15 years old, I packed up and came all the way out east. And in basketball, even though I still love it. You're not playing like you were in LA. LA with basketball was everything. You played all day, all night. Like it didn't matter if you was good or not. People was hooping. Like you see guys riding around those little fancy bikes and they pull up to the park and you be like, oh, they can't hoop. And they come out in their khakis and they dickies and they start hooping. And everyone's playing. You can't disrespect anybody because first of all, you can't disrespect people. You don't know who you are. You don't know what's going to happen. But everybody could hoop, man. Everyone wanted to play. So there was always games being played. Whereas now I don't see kids outside. We was outside. We was playing all the time, all year long outside. We didn't need no gym. You just pulled up and there was games and you could play all day.
Yeah, I mean, the kids on the court, they're not outside as much anymore on the asphalt unless there's a tournament being played. That's the only way you're gonna get kids to come out and play ball on the court.
Yeah.
That is if their AAU coaches aren't trying to prohibit them,
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have that problem because it wasn't AAU wasn't even we played some, but that wasn't really you was really playing to rep your area. You was playing for bragging rights and there was no game, there was no tournament. You were just hooping and you was trying to walk out of there as one, and that's how people knew who you were in certain areas, and that's when you would go try to play someone else in another area and try to, it wasn't as physical as it was over on the east, like y'all got it in New York. We were a little bit not as physical the game, but people were good at ball, man. We played fast. As you can look at when you watch the Pac-12 play right now, it's a different type of ball. They let it fly. They play fast. There ain't a whole lot of like slow it down and run all these plays. We get to it.
Indeed. So let's talk about, what were some of your favorite tournaments playing in as a kid?
Man, I always like going to Vegas. We always went to Vegas. I never knew what the Florida Nationals were as a kid growing up, because our championships were always played in Vegas. So we never did that. We played in the Pump Brothers tournaments a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those were big. I am from Oregon, so I got to go up and play sometimes up in the Nike Invitationals up there. Because my I got family that related to me that were pretty good at basketball. Like one of my closest friends growing up was Ime Udoka, who ended up playing in the NBA. He's a NBA coach right now. I think he's on the Nets staff. Actually, he was in San Antonio for a long time. He's on the Nets staff. I got cousins, like girls, like she played at USC. I have another cousin that played at Arizona, and like so we just back when I was in Oregon, those family members were pretty good at ball. So you get invited to a lot of things, But those are my favorite memories. Always going to play in Vegas. Anytime we could play in Vegas, that was the fun times. Other than that, I didn't really have any. I didn't get to play AAU when I came out to Massachusetts. I didn't really understand. There was BABC, and then there was another couple teams that were pretty good. But I played with Walter Brown, who went to Phillips Andover, and then went to Holy Cross, and then went to BU. He was from Dorchester. He ended up trying to get me to play on one of the AAU teams, but I just said I'd wait till I went back west. So I missed out on a lot of that. I missed out on all spring AAU because I was never home,
So talk about, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, because you saw a lot of crazy stuff, like the Rodney King beating, the Latasha Harlan shooting, and of course the LA riots. Talk about, what it was like at that time.
It's tension. What you see now hasn't changed much, to be honest. We just never had video cameras to prove it back in the beginning. You always worry of the police because, getting beat up by the police, unfortunately was a common occurrence. So when Rodney King happened, we were like, ha, got caught on camera finally, and we thought that, that meant, they're gonna go to trial and they're gonna get convicted and some things are gonna change, right? You have this notion that, something's gonna happen. And then, I'm sitting in my house in LA, and all of a sudden we're watching the news and we're watching the trial happen, and we're waiting for it to the verdict to come down. And all we hear is not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And literally minutes later, the helicopters, because in LA helicopters, they fly in the sky all over. The eye in the sky is everywhere. The helicopters are out all the time. So when you hear the helicopter, they're looking for somebody. So helicopters are out, news cameras are out, and this one area, they started looting. They were just mad. All the anger had spoiled out from thinking that something was about to occur. Like we're about to expose what's been happening, right? Not guilty, people are upset. They walk out into the street, they start fighting, they start pulling people out of cars, they started looting, and the cops and the police were down the street and around the corner and didn't come in because we were in our hood. And so it just kept escalating and escalating. And now you got on the news. So now the people who was inside their house is like, nobody's doing anything. And now you're angry. So more people spill into the streets. And it became a war zone. I mean, things were burning up. If you ever seen what you see on television, those like third world countries, that's what you saw. You saw buildings getting burned down. You saw your neighborhood getting burned down. You saw people just taking stuff, and Asian people writing Black owned on their businesses, trying to deter you from burning down their businesses. People downtown got AK-47s on top of their building. So if you come, they would shoot you. I mean, and because it stayed contained pretty much in the hood, nobody did anything. And it took days before the National Guard finally showed up. And by the time we were like, it's over, you know, everything was, it was chaos. I mean, it was destruction all over the place. And my mom was like, stay in the house, don't go anywhere. But, you know, we young, but we went out because we're young. And we went to go see what was happening because it was incredible. But then you got out there and you're like, this is dangerous. And people were stealing stuff and looting and taking TVs and whatever else they could get and just burning down the city that we lived in. And so the stuff that I see now, unfortunately, and I just had this conversation with a lot of people. I said, I haven't seen a lot. I mean, there's still the same things occurring. We still have cameras and showing it, but there's something that's got to change that we're not understanding. So if you talk about that, that's a long time ago. That's in the 90s. That was like 92 or so. Here we are in 2021, and we're still having some of the same issues. That's unfortunate. And LA was tough. You know, there was racial between Mexicans and Blacks was pretty contentious. And just in general, you know, like when I went to school, Elizabeth, I didn't see the only white people I saw were the teachers. Like there were literally no white people. There was only a couple of those. Like, you know, there was Hispanics and Blacks. That's all I grew up around. We didn't see white people. So we saw the cops, but we just, you know, we didn't have a good relationship with anybody. And I think that's the problem. We need to see more people that look like us helping patrol the streets where we live so they understood what we were going through a little bit better.
So 1992, you're 15 years old at this time.
Yep.
So how did the Phillips Andover opportunity come about?
All right, so I told you I had an interesting life. I tried to lead. So like when I was a kid growing up, my mother was addicted to drugs a lot and I had no father around. And for some reason, I always believed that I was going to help my mother get over her addiction. And this is like 12 years old, you know, 12, 13 years old. I'm going to help my mother get over her addiction. And I'm going to always do well in school because that's going to be my way out. But I can't let anybody know that I love school that much or I love learning that much. So I kind of hid that part. I just hooped. So everyone thought that I was just a good hooper, but no one really understood what I was doing. So at the time I was on this academic pentathlon team and I was actually touring around California, taking tests, going up against all these magnet schools and these schools for the highly gifted. And first I would compete against LA Unified School District. And I won a lot of the times. I would win, you know, science, math, all these standardized tests, I would end up winning, you know. So then I started competing against the whole state of California and I kept winning. So I got to be 14 years old and one of the ladies in my school, her name was Barbara Mentor. I'll never forget her. She came up to me and said, I want to send you away to school, to a prep school. Or she said boarding school. So she thought like I'm a bad kid. You want to send me to boarding school? I didn't know what she was talking about. Like, why do I need to go to boarding school? I'm like, I'm not that bad of a kid. I'm okay. But she said, listen, take this test and I'll fill out these applications for you. And let's just see what happens. So I'm used to taking tests because I'm okay. No one knows this. I don't let anybody know this, but except for my mom, obviously, and my family, but no one else knows this. So I take that SSAT test and I score in the 99th percentile. So from that point, I got Phillips Andover, Phillips Exeter. I got all these schools, Choate, Hotchkiss. I got schools in California like Kate and Thatcher, who are just basically saying, we will pay for you to come to school, give you a little bit of money and give you some clothes to help, you know, because we know you don't got no money. So we're going to help you, but we just want you to come to our school. So I went and visited some in California with my mom. They wanted me to take care of a horse at one of them. I was like, I'm straight with that. I'm not taking care of a horse.
You said a horse?
Yeah, a horse. They wanted me to take care of a horse. I was like, yeah, I'm all set. And then they flew me out. Phillips Andover flew me out here and then got me in a limo on the way to school, put me in a limo to school, and I stayed for a couple of days. And I was mind blown. I mean, I was like, this is a high school? Like, and you know, I'm a little rough around the edges, but I could tell a good opportunity when I saw one, and I said the place is safe. You know, it's in Andover, Massachusetts. It didn't seem like there was, you know, it wasn't the life I was living. So I came back home after a few days, and I told my mom all about the place and all the people that had attended there, and how it's one of the best academic schools in the country, if not the best academic school in the country. And I thought this was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And we cried, we prayed, and by that time my mom had beat her addiction, and she was doing great. She was about to get married. She was about to have my sister, and so like life had like, I felt like I could leave, you know, like I could leave and not and do something for me and help propel our family into another place. At 15, at 14, you know, getting ready to turn 15. And so I left and I came out to Phillips and spent 3 years there, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. It took away some of the basketball because if anybody knows about Phillips Andover, it's a rigorous academic place to be. I still played. I still end up being good. I still end up being able to play, getting to go to Holy Cross and play there. But I didn't play nearly as much as I would have on those years if I had stayed in California. But there was a sacrifice. It was safety. I was safe. I was at one of the best academic place institution, and I learned a lot from those people. You know, being around that crowd. The one thing I never did though was forget where I'm from. That's the one thing I never let them change. I never. They asked me where I'm from South Central Los Angeles. Like I never let them make me feel like I had to say I'm from Baldwin Hills, California. You know, I never changed. I never tried to be different. I tried to be who I was. I still wore my hats. I still wore, you know, I still dressed the same way. I just knew how to adapt when it was time to be in certain circles. You know, you had to talk a certain way. I knew what I needed to do in certain environments. I knew my audience. I knew how to dress a certain way, depending on the audience. But I never forgot who I was and where I was from, and I was proud of that. Where I saw some, you know, forget or try to hide. And
Right.
it looked like when I did that, a lot of them came out of the closet and they started saying where they were from for real, you know, because they saw my pride.
Right.
They started,
Because
so
that's how it be. You know, a lot of people they're not from where they claim to be, or they not who they think who they say they are. But it's just that, yeah, some people, there's a lot of posers out there, a lot of posers. It's crazy.
yeah, I wasn't gonna try to become one of those. We had a guy tell us when we all got together, we was in this thing called ABC, and it was a better chance. And they all told us, listen, a lot of you guys are gonna go off to these other schools where we can't. You got to remember where you're from. You got to stay grounded and know where you're from. That doesn't mean that we're not trying to go forward and trying to be better and trying to change, but we cannot forget and be grounded of where we're from. And I took that to heart right away when I left. I'm still that way now. You know, people, oh, you rep in LA. I'm like, but I'm from Los Angeles, man. Like you can't like take that from me, and I'm not gonna let you take it from me. I'm that's where I'm from, and I'm not going against where anyone else is from. You should have pride where you're from, but I also don't forget where I'm from, so I stay grounded, so that I know where I'm gonna go, and I always have an anchor to get back because I know where my foundation is from.
Indeed. So how's mom's doing today?
Oh, she's fabulous, man. She done had I have two brothers and one sister. All of them are doing good. My sister just finished in the Air Force. My brother, he's very smart. He does like computers and he's doing a lot of stock trading. And my other little brother is a really good cook, trying to figure out what he wants to do. He just graduated not too long ago from high school. So they've all gone to college, except for my younger brother, still trying to figure out I think he's might go to culinary school or something like that. But my mother's doing great. She's got some hip surgeries that she's got to do. She did on one, she got to do it on the other. My stepdad has been the man in my life. He's been the only father that I've had. He's been phenomenal. I'm just I try to take care of them now. Financially, I try to help make sure they're okay. Anything they need, I try to send it to them just to make sure everything is good. And making their life a little easier because they did sacrifice for me. And my mom is my mom. I love her, man. She's a strong woman. She fought through some tough times. She basically taught me how to be strong and how not to give up and how to fight. And if you watch the way she fought to change her entire life when it could have went the wrong direction, you know, there's a lot of strength in that. We don't go around talking about her story like a lot of people do, but I know her story and I know how tough it was to overcome. Remember, 90s crack and cocaine in that area was very, very tough. It was very rampant, and it got a lot of people caught up, you know. And I'm just happy that she survived and that we can, you know, talk about it today or move on, and that she's got a beautiful family, and that she got to live that, you know, live in a beautiful house and do all the stuff she's doing. So I'm very proud of that.
Shout outs to Mama Nelson, man. So, talk about your 3 years at the prestigious Phillips Andover.
That's the place I grew the most. I've never been challenged in my life from an emotional. I mean, my first month, I was crying to go back home. You got to get a calling card, you know, because we didn't have no cell phones like that. So you trying to get a calling card to call home, and I'm like, my mom's like, just get to basketball season and see how it goes.
The phone bills was probably high with you calling every night.
Man, you trying to call collect, and is she gonna accept the collect call? You know, you had that trick where you would call collect and they wouldn't accept and they call you back. Yeah. So the first transition, and then being from, you know, I'm a West Coast guy, and then coming to the East Coast, that was a transition. It's just not the same. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold on the it's freezing over here. Like, you know, you're from California, and all of a sudden there's a foot of snow on the ground. You know, like I'm not used to that. I'm like, what's going on here? What is this? What are we supposed to do? So I gotta go get boots. I don't got boots. I gotta go get winter coats and jacket and gloves. We don't wear boots, gloves, winter jackets. We don't have that stuff. So adapting to those things were hard. But then on top of that, school is hard. Like, the kids are intelligent, like not pretend intelligent. They're for real intelligent. I was good at math and science, but like I never read Shakespeare. I didn't know what that was. Like, what's this language we're talking? I knew nothing about like etymology or taking biochem and stuff. So by the time I was a sophomore, I was taking calculus. And I was doing a good job, you know, best I could to adapt. But I came from being the smartest kid to feeling like my foundation was nowhere near their foundations. Not that I couldn't do the work, it's just that where I was trying to play catch up as well as do the work. Where they already had the foundation, I didn't have those foundations. Like, I grew up around Spanish and Black. If I knew what a predicate, verb, adverb, and subject was, I was passing English. All of a sudden, English is a whole lot. You know, you write a paper and they telling you to write 12-page and 10-page and 9-page papers like in high school. I'm like, we're doing real research and we're doing real papers, and we're trying to elaborate on things and take them further than just on what you see on the surface. We're trying to dig deep. And so that level, I mean, Spanish class, they don't speak. I mean, good thing I knew how to speak Spanish, but they don't speak any English in Spanish class. From when you walk in first day, if you don't know any Spanish, there's no English talk. It's just speaking Spanish. When you go to once a week, you got to go to a Spanish roundtable for lunch and dinner, and you got to speak Spanish at the thing. You're in the lab all the time, trying to learn the language. You're trying to learn the proper way to speak. You're writing papers. You're writing 5- and 6-page papers in Spanish, doing research. I started acting. I got to do some plays where I started acting because I was like, I might as well just. So I just dived into it. I dived into anything I could possibly do. Not only did I play sports, I ran track. You know, I try to play whatever. I try to do all these other things. I didn't want to just be about. I wanted to go there and try to like expand as much as I could and be as well rounded as I possibly could. But it came with a lot of difficulties, and I'm on my own. There's no 3,000 miles away, and they can't send me no money. I don't have money. So I'm sitting there hungry at night, you know. I can't just order food. So the good thing is, like, because I was, you know, they liked me, a lot of kids would help me and they would order me some food and help out. I mean, they're ordering Bertucci's at night all the time and from the sub shops, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm hungry and I can't get that. And my mom would send me they would try to send me stuff in a big box, and
Care package, yeah.
Care package. It'd be like noodles and stuff, and like some chips and just stuff like that, trying to make it through. But that's also you realize the difference, and where you're really from. Like you can see the difference of the money, the class,
right,
and your status, and it's very apparent what your status is. You really know where you're at. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to look like I was that poor, but I was. And so your clothes ain't the same as everybody else's. You just, but I had to learn a lot. I had to watch my own stuff. I had to take care of myself. There was no one coming to save me. And so I grew up a lot in those 3 years at Phillips Andover. Believe me.
Shout outs to the Phillips Andover graduating class of 1995.
It's a long time ago.
Y'all had a big alumni base. So let me just read off some of the names that came through your school. George Bush, Senior and Junior. Let's see. Humphrey Bogart. He got kicked out of there, but
he did.
Buzz Bissinger, the author of Friday Night Lights. Jeb Bush, he also went there. Let's see. Thomas Chapin, the jazz saxophonist.
Yep.
Olivia Coffey.
A lot of people up here, Bill Belichick.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to the Patriots.
Bill Belichick went to Phillips as well.
Teddy Dunn from Veronica Mars, the TV show. Charles B. Finch.
Yeah, the library is actually named after him.
Wow. So many people came through the school. Robert Ingersoll. John F. Kennedy Jr. Wow. John Lardner, the sports writer. Jack Lemmon, the actor. Let's see. Who else? Man, y'all got too many to name.
It's one of the best. You see why I couldn't say no, even though it was like, far away, and I knew nothing about it other than what I got to go visit. You just can't pass up those opportunities. You can't turn that down. You can't walk away from that.
Oh yeah, Dick Wolf from the director of Law and Order.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a big alumni base, and for any kid from the hood to turn that down, that would be crazy. Because it's like, as much as a lot of people out here, they love to talk about keeping the kids in New York City home. The reality is, it's like a lot of the. I don't know about the Catholic schools. Like, there might be more unity, but public schools, once the kids graduate, those kids don't really come back. This just like, yo, we got our diploma, off we go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But these prep schools, it's forever.
Yeah,
they always go back. Like, the kids always go back to visit. And if they're in a great financial situation, they'll definitely donate money.
Yeah, you're talking 5-year reunion, 10 every. I was supposed to have my 25-year reunion last year, but COVID stopped it. So we're still gonna have it. They're gonna just put it in for this summer, and you can believe there'll be a lot of people there. There'll be people from 2015, everyone in that 95, 2000, 2005, 2010, like they'll all be there. And so you go and you like see guys, and there's some of them are successful. Like when I went back for my 10-year, one guy said to me, "Oh, you were. I looked up to you when I was in school." And I said, "Man, I looked up to you because you have a whole insurance company that you was ready to run. What you got is like, it was nowhere near what I didn't have that that legacy already ready to give down to me. I was trying to build one. I'm trying to start one. You guys have had one for decades, and I just trying to get one going. Hopefully, you know. So it is different. The people you meet and the stuff, the resources that is different. Is top notch.
So then you went to Holy Cross. Talk about how that came about.
So like I said, Walter Brown was at my school, and Holy Cross was there all the time recruiting Walter Brown. Like Walter Brown he had Metco to Situate from Dorchester, and then he came to do a post grad at Andover. My sophomore year, we lost in the championship to New Hampton, so we were pretty good. And then junior year, we ended up getting Walter to come. So because Holy Cross was there a lot, they always saw me play, and they knew about me, and they me to no one's calling coaches for me, or no one was doing anything of that stuff for me. So I was basically on my own, and my mom didn't graduate from high school, and so I'm kind of like trying to figure out how to go to college on my own. So I had a pretty good senior year, and then and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like, am I gonna go back to California? Am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? So I actually got invited to the prep school all-star game at Worcester Academy. I was one of the all-star, and there was Victor Page was there, and Randall Jackson didn't play because he was playing in the McDonald's game. Back then you could only play in only two events. So he was in the McDonald's game. You only play in two all-star games. So he couldn't play in the NEPSAC all-star game. So but he was there. He was there watching. So was Wayne Turner was there watching, and there was a lot of guys. Like, it was one of the best. All the best players in the NEPSAC were there, and so I got to be on Victor Page's team, which was kind of a treat. He was on his way to Georgetown to play in the backcourt with Allen Iverson, and he had said to me, he's like, "Listen, man, little man, you can throw the ball in the air anywhere you want, and I'm gonna go get it." And I was like, "Huh? Anywhere I want?" I mean, he's only like 6'3". It wasn't like he was like 6'10". And I was like, "Cool." So we went out and played that game. We had a lot of fun. It was amazing. I was a lot of NBA. I think Abina Akizi, another guy I think that went to Maryland. There was a lot of like top level guys that were in this game. And then so I played pretty good. And then I went on vacation to Jamaica because I had friends that were from Jamaica. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Jamaica break, right? And they were like, "What are you gonna do about basketball?" I was like, "I don't know, man. I'll just worry about it when I come." I wasn't ready to go back to LA yet because I was like, I didn't want to be in that distraction. I thought that I need to stay out here and just stay focused in this situation. I didn't want to go back and fall into the mix out there, you know. So I stayed here. I said, even though Holy Cross is not giving out any scholarships right now, I had a friend named Don Hightower that was going there from Thayer, and I was like, I'm gonna go see what it's like. It's a great academic institution, so it fits the mold from an academic point, and I could play some ball there. So that's how I ended up at Holy Cross. As you can see, I got my jersey right there, and that's how I ended up. That's how I ended up there. And I had a good 4 years. I mean, I didn't get to play that much. You know, one of my best friend to this day was a starter, John Hightower. He's a successful lawyer now, but he was better than me. And I always just try to push him to be better. But that time taught me a lot about coaching. That time there, I was scrapping for minutes. But I learned a lot in those 4 years that you can work hard for stuff, and just because you don't get out of it what you thought you were going to get out of it, you get something out of it that actually in turns helped me more in my life than just playing ball. And I learned resolve. I learned a lot of resolve. So that's why I'm probably coaching now, is because of that time I spent. And some can say it was a disappointment. And I looked at it like a blessing. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. I have one parent. I have no money, and I got to play basketball, Division I, and I got to, you know, go to a great school from an academic standpoint. What could I be disappointed about. And so I use that to this day when I'm coaching. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's big right there. You were the first person in your family, in your immediate family, to graduate from college, right?
yes.
That's big. So was I. There's no better
It's a big
joy than
thing.
being the very first, because a lot. Like
Right.
I come from a neighborhood in the South Bronx where there's only 4% of people that graduated from college, and I feel proud to have been a part of the 4%.
Salute to you.
Shout outs to the Holy Cross graduating class of 2000. I see that
That's right.
jersey.
Got my jersey.
And I actually interviewed another person on this podcast from Holy Cross, Tori Thomas.
Oh yeah, he was after me. Yeah, he's younger than me. He was good though.
Shout outs to Tori, man. He just got he's doing a lot of good things for his community in White Plains, and he just bought the rights to a semi-pro team. So
Really?
yeah,
That's fantastic.
so he's doing really really good. So after college, what did you do afterwards?
I wanted to play ball, but um, I wasn't gonna be fooled by the trap of basically you paying to play ball for other people. So
Hmm.
I wasn't gonna fall into that trap. So I had been interning. I had done summer internships at this financial company, um, getting myself prepared. And so they offered me a job. They gave me a signing bonus. They offered me a job to come in and basically work on contracts, booklets and contracts and insurance. They call Sun Life of Canada. So I took it, and I dabbled with this whole like, let's see if we're gonna play some, and then I was like, this ain't gonna work. I'm not good enough for this. I'm not gonna get into none of these top leagues. I don't have stats to, I don't have anything to show. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get fooled and do all that craziness. So I started working. Um, I started working for Sun Life, and then at the same time, I started. You got the itch to coach, or you want to itch to be in ball. So I started coaching a local little AAU team, a bunch of little middle school kids while I was working. I was working a lot of hours, and then that led me to go out and do some auditing because I wanted to get into accounting. So I went and audited for a little while, and driving around. I got to audit a little company, so I'm driving all over the New England to audit these companies, right? And then I came back and went back to Sun Life after I had done some of that experience, so I could get a higher paying job. You can't stay in one position; you got to continually move, otherwise they won't pay you any money. You can't get these little 2.5% increases. You're never gonna make any money that way. So you got to leave and go do something else and try to come back. And so I did all those different things, learning how to do taxation, modified endowed contract. Became a county controller. So I moved my way up little by little, but at the same time, I was always coaching. I was coaching at first I started with little middle school, and I ended up coaching at Dean College as an assistant. And then the next year I became the head coach at Dean College. We were nationally ranked. And then I did that for a couple of years. And then, you know, while working, like all this is while grinding, I'm still working a full-time job. I didn't go and I moved on to Framingham State, become an assistant there. I thought I was going to become the head coach because I had helped take the program from a 3-win team to the best. Like we were one of the best teams in the MASCAC, which is the state school association here. And we were beating Williams, and we we're beating Brandeis, and we're beating MIT, and we're beating like these ranked Division III teams in the country. And I'm 26, 27 years old after being on, at coaching at Dean, and we're nationally ranked at JUCO. I'm like, I'm working my way up this ladder, right? And then, life hit, and I realized, again, just because you work for something hard, don't mean you always gonna get it. You gotta have resolve. And then for some reason, even though they just didn't give me the job, they just gave it to somebody else who had connections with the school. He was an older guy. And he had connections with the school and the president. He was connected with them, so they ended up giving him the job. I was devastated. I'm 28 years old. I'm devastated, to be honest, because it's the first time in a long time that I felt like my color of my skin had played a factor into what I was doing. So that led me to I was living in Brookline, Mass, and that's near where Brimmer was. So I then asked Greg Christoph, who runs Zero Gravity. I asked Greg Christoph, could I coach with him? He was coaching at Brimmer May at the time, and now I might be like 30. I don't know what I'm like 32 years old now, and he said sure, and he's like, I can't believe I'm gonna get a coach like you to come coach with me at Brimmer May. Like this is good, right? And I'm just at the time I'm just devastated. I just needed to coach. I just well, this is a good 1 year gap between me going back into another college setting. And then now the reason why I couldn't go the route that most people take, which is go be a grad assistant or go work on a staff. And I got offered jobs at $25,000, $30,000 on these staffs. The problem I couldn't do is I had family, brothers and sisters, and my mom has sacrificed. I need, and I need to make money to send money home, so 30,000 ain't gonna get it. 25 grand ain't gonna get it. I can't do that. So I got to make money. So I had to work at the same time as coaching, which was my passion. Basketball was still my love. So I did that for a year, and then Greg left. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Do you want the job as the head coach?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? I mean, why not? I ain't got nothing else to do, right?" And a lot of people told me that's not a good job because like it's a day school, it's only 160 kids in high school, it's a day school, can't win there. And again, resolve, man. I didn't believe that. I believe that it depends on what your idea of winning was. If your idea of winning was winning championships and hanging banners and saying how many games I won, okay, then I was probably going to lose because we're in a league that I don't have enough resources to beat all those other teams. I don't have dorms. I don't have enough kids. I don't have football, so I can get some kids from football to come play and be athletes. There's a lot of things I don't have. But what I did have was a really good academic school and a really good neighborhood and great transportation to the school because there was a train that was right there. So I said, well, what I do have is I can develop a few kids here, help them get off to scholarship schools, and that'll be my wins. So that's my win. So everyone would try to brag on me for my record, but I wasn't trying to win that. That's what they were trying to win. I was just trying to win the development part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just get you here. We're gonna play a great competition, and I'm gonna get you a scholarship to a scholarship school for the ones who can. All the other ones, I'm gonna give you a great experience where you got to play some of the greatest. You got to play Michael Carter Williams at Brimmer. You got to play, Wayne Selden, or you got to play whoever. You got to play these, top NBA type talent. Nerlens Noel is playing at Brimmer and May. These guys are in the gym. So I'm like, to me, this was a great experience. And then at the same time, I hooked up with I had started out with Expressions. After I had created my own AAU program called the New England Ballas, and then that's when out of that, Sherwin came along. We created Ballas TV. We did that for a little while. And
so before we go into the grassroots side, talk about what it was like coaching college basketball at both Dean College and Framingham State. So you coached a total of 7 years of college basketball. Talk about that situation.
All right, so Dean College was fantastic, because we played. I was coaching under a guy who he believed toughness. He was like 6'10", he's tough, right? And so we played run and gun, we defended and we got it. We just let it go. Like it was like a jailbreak. Whoever got the rebound, it was who could sprint up the court the fastest, and we're gonna deliver them the ball and get a bucket. So we had a D3 All-American. We were ranked 12th, as high as 12th in the country. I mean, we were rocking. And then I got to be the head, and then I still recruited, and we played the same way with that fast up-tempo style. And so I was like, this is great. We defend and we play free. So that was always on these kids. It was a lot of money to go to school, and then a lot of those courses didn't transfer to those other schools. So they were doing 2 years and getting all these loans, and they were and then they would go to other school, and they basically only had done 1 year. And so I was like, this is hurting. And so I was like, I want to get to a 4-year institution, right? And so Framingham State came available, the guy, me and Don Spellman spoke, and he said, "Come here with me, and we'll play." And so they were playing different type of basketball, and he said he's having a tough time recruiting kids. And I said, let's open this up, like let's play different. And he already had 2 kids that were amazing on the team. He had got one kid that went to Bryant, but he transferred back to him, and he had another kid from Springfield. They were both 1,000-point scorers. But this is eventually they were 1,000-point scorers. They weren't when I got there. So I went out and got some NAIA transfers because I found out it was easier to get transfers than it was to get kids out of high school.
Right.
So I went the transfer route and got some JUCO transfer because that's where I just come from, the JUCO world. Got some JUCO transfers, got some NAIA transfers, and all of a sudden we got a lot more athletic. We got a lot more longer, and we played a lot faster. And one year we went from winning a few games, like I don't remember how many we won the first year, but by the end we were winning 17, 18, 16 games. And 15 games, and now we're able to compete with the top team. We can play with the top teams in Division III, and so we just had to change the philosophy. And so I really got a lot of experience out of how to run a practice, how to schedule it, to really like I did it. I had to organize it in those college practices, how to detail, and then how to be efficient, and then how to keep it, building upon one to another so that we can continually get better and better and better. That's where I learned how to develop so much through all that time. So I enjoyed it. D3 basketball is better than people think.
That's a fact.
They and JUCO basketball is better than they think. When these kids can hoop, a lot of people can hoop. It don't matter. Circumstances usually plays a lot of part in it, but there's no reason why they can't hoop. I mean, when I went to Brimmer and I had some kids that were Division I, brought some of those Division III kids into play. Couple of them actually run the North Next Level Factory. Royce and Caesar, they played for me at Framingham State, and I used to throw alley-oops to Royce. Royce is like 6'1", and we used to throw alley-oops to him. So I showed them that these kids can hoop. Like just because they're Division III, and don't get it twisted. These guys can ball, and so college was really good. I like. I thought I was gonna. That's where I thought I was gonna stay. I thought I was gonna do some more, help my mom get a little bit longer down the way, and then I was gonna go to college for good and do my own thing. And then life changed.
Yeah, man. So now we can talk about the grassroots part. So you said you started out with expressions.
I did.
So how long? Like were they Nike at this time, or were they in an independent program?
They weren't Nike. They were Reebok.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had just did a little Reebok thing, and but they were they were on their way to becoming Nike. Like I left right when they were changing, but we were Reebok and we are kind of independent. They had I had the B team. Ty Boswell was coaching, Jared Terrell and Malika Boo and some other kids that ended up being pretty good. And so that team was good. And I had the next team. And I was fine with that. I'm always trying to find a kid that's not that good and try to develop and make them better. So I had a good run. I had a good team. I ended up having some Division I kids on my team. I had, kids that are now playing Division I or came to Brimmer with me. And one was Mikey Rodriguez, who ended up going to play for the Salukis.
Man, that's what's up, man.
So that's just my wife.
How you doing?
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, just being nosy. I haven't seen my husband all day.
It's okay.
So
well, yeah.
So
that wasn't funny.
Shout out to Miss Nelson.
Thank you.
So then we so then it was good. We were I was with a good program. It just the way that it was structured, it didn't vibe with how I was, like, and it wasn't anything that anybody did. It was just more me. Like, I needed to be in a different situation. And I'm thankful that they gave me the opportunity to see some high level basketball and be around it, to learn. But I needed a stiff situation. I needed to be more involved. Like I need to be more in the gym on a consistent basis. Like I'm a grinder. Like I need to be in the mix the whole time. And that wasn't it for me. And it's not anyone's fault, it's just that I was new and I was ambitious and I wanted to be a certain way. So I was gonna go back to basically my own program and just do it from the bottom, like I had no ideas of trying to be a sponsored program. I wasn't trying to be Nike or Adidas or any of that type of stuff. I just wanted to help kids become good like me, there was kids like me who needed someone to guide them. Like I didn't have anybody to guide me. So I needed someone to guide them, right? And I was like, well, who better to do it than me? Because, I know all about it. So that's what I did. So I changed and I was gonna go back. And then Vin Pastore, who runs the Mass Rivals, called me up and said, how about y'all come meet me at Papa Gino's and we'll have a pizza and talk about what we do over here for the Rivals. And I was like, hey, food, anytime I get some free food, that sounds good to me. So me and my wife and Sherwin Cooper, and Sherwin had started Ballas TV by then, because we were the New England Ballas. So Sherwin Cooper had started Ballas TV, which was starting to, people were starting to take notice of him and his camera and what he was able to do for kids and help them get seen. And so we went ahead and Vin laid it out and said, listen, I love what y'all do with the camera. I don't even know what kids you got for basketball. I love how hard you grind. I just want some grinders to come in here and help me with the program. And so there was no promises, no nothing. I like that. It's just straight up like, let's just go. There's no kid involved, no nothing. Just go get it done. And I just did it. I went for that. And then I started out with the freshman group. But you get but we coach all the groups. I just was I had the freshman. He was sometimes coach the freshman, but you were always able to like coach everybody in the program. You was never like stuck with your group. It was just a couple coaches. So it wasn't like there was a whole lot of people, and he let you be involved. So, there's Noah Vonleh, there's Good Luck Okonobo, there's Jalen Adams, there's Caleb Joseph. And I'm in there with them coaching, and they just accepted me like they've been knowing me forever. And so we in the grind. And I went back and got the Wabisa Beatties, Makai Ashton-Langford. Makai Ashton-Langford had played for me with Expression in the middle school. So I had him already with me. And this other kid, Greg Kwaka-Mensah, who would have been in Division I going to Niagara. So they were already with me coming from Expressions. So they just came along. I didn't tell them, they just came with me. They were like, that sounds good. And they came along. And then some other kids like Sammy Mojica, who ended up playing in Drexel, he came with me. He was with me. He came to my school. He came to Rivals with me. And some other kids, David Watkins, who ended up going to UNH, and then Mark Gasparini, who just played at UMass the other day, had a big game for UMass. He came along with me. So Vin didn't know I had any of these kids. He just wanted me to come and bring the camera and with Sherwin and just come coach. And so those kids weren't told to be good. I learned then what high level basketball is like when you're around Jalen Adams. You realize what being good meant. And so that helped me a lot. And it helped me a lot to train the Beatties and Makais and all of those kids that came after, because that team ended up being the team that we won a national title with.
Yes. And shout outs to my man Sherwin Cooper. Yo, he's done a lot, for the kids up in New England, not just the marquee names, but even the hidden gems.
Yes.
Sherwin has done a lot over the years for them kids, man. Real talk. Like,
yeah,
I remember the days like when Ballas TV was probably the biggest media outlet up in New England. Him and Corey Porter TV, but definitely Sherwin.
Yep. Yeah, he built that. I mean, he was fantastic. He was a grinder. That's what we're about, man. We just literally just outwork everybody. Like he used to say, I record everything. When other people only want to record certain plays or whatever, he just said, I just record everything because you never know. Exactly. And then he would go and he worked. And I mean, you gotta imagine there was like, I don't know, 20 back in the day, YouTube with 24,000 subscribers or something. Like we was on our way to like, we didn't even know, man. We didn't know about this. We were just trying to help kids. Literally, that's all it was about. There was no big plan. There was no like, oh, we're going to turn this into a conglomerate. We started running a little bit of tournaments here and trying to have some showcases again to just showcase some kids that might have didn't get seen. And he's still doing it again with his Unseen Gems. He did it again this past summer, trying to once again show that, you know, if you put your mind to it, there's some kids out here that can hoop, but we just don't put a lot of emphasis on them. And if we did put a little spotlight on them, big things can occur. So he's still doing it. You know, he's a computer programmer, so other things got involved. He got some businesses that he wanted to run. You know, life changes, things happen, you get older. But we may, you know, he's thinking about maybe one time making another run at it and see what we can do. So we'll see.
So let's talk about that 2016 squad. I think you guys went 21-0 throughout the whole Adidas uprising or gauntlet. Talk about that experience.
So we'd only lost one game in the spring. And the game that we had lost in the spring, we were actually down 20, and we came back and took the lead. And then we ended up losing by 1 at the end. So when we came back for the summer, we were like, you know, so you got to understand, in 2015, we lost in the championship on ESPN with Wenyen Gabriel. We lost to Team Loaded. So we had some payback on our minds because we were so close, you know, like we were a double-digit lead, and then we're on ESPN, like, you know, this 215 we're on ESPN, and we're like we're on our way back. Here we got the book right here from the championship. We got the book. They sent us the book.
Oh, wow!
We have the whole thing right here. So we literally have the whole thing, but that whole year.
Yeah, you gotta post that on the gram or Twitter,
yeah,
man.
I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to show people that. So 215 set us up to come back angry, you know, because we would always been the underdog. We get to the championship, we lose, we're angry. So we came back the next year with vengeance on our mind. We lost that one game, and when we went to the summer, those kids got together and said, you know what, we're not gonna lose another game. And I was like, I was amazed that we didn't lose another game. So each game that we went, it was like we played defense. It was the best defensive group you will ever be around again. Like as the way they played together. I think we had an 18-point margin of victory throughout Adidas. Like, I mean, we were beating teams that were good, like had good high-level players on it. But the way we defended, so that went through like 8 games, 9 games, 10 games. Then all of a sudden we're like, we ain't lost in a while, you know? So they're like, they created this championship that we had to go play. They had created some new championship. So we went and played in Atlanta. And I think it was Atlanta or South Carolina, one of the two. And we went and played it. And we got to play Team Loaded in the championship. So we were like, this is like perfect, right? Like revenge is happening right here. And we got them. So then we went to Vegas. So now we haven't won again. We went to Vegas and they're like, are we going to create this Creators Cup where we're going to take the top 8 teams in Adidas? And while everyone else is playing, y'all going to play in this Creators Cup against the top 8 teams. I'm kind of like, well, that's going to make us a little tired, right? To go, you know, we're trying to get on ESPN again. Like but we got to play 4. If you win, you got to play 4 high-level games where everyone else is kind of like playing pool play and then, you know, whatever. It's like, all right, let's do it. The kids are like not trying to lose. So we win all those games. I mean, you're talking James Harden's at the game, you know.
Oh yeah. That 2016 summer was crazy. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the year that, you know, Big Baller Brands had the gym going in a frenzy in Vegas.
Yeah, they was all in there. We had beat them too. They was all there.
Matter of fact, I probably might have seen that video, if I'm not mistaken. I probably might have seen that video. I gotta look up that video.
So we went through that. We played so well that even 10,000 hours, Devin, he had put us on his made a little thing on us, a little documentary on us about how we didn't see color, like how we just hooped, like everyone was just playing. Like it was such a cohesive group, the way we played free and played for everybody. I mean, we ended up having 4 top 50 kids on the team, but you wouldn't know that the way we were hooping. Like it was sacrifice. Nobody played more than 20 minutes in a game. Everybody between 10 to 20 minutes, everyone played their hearts out. I mean, we just obliterated people. We beat Zion Williamson along the way. I mean, we had to beat we had to beat so many good teams and so many good players along the way that it was amazing. And then we got to the end and we played in the championship game on ESPN again to get our revenge. And we were not going to let this one get by. And when you finish something like that with that group, which we had started developing when I told you that when they were freshmen, and to see it end up that way in 2016, it was special to play like that. And it wasn't about offensive selfishness. It was about defense will win you games, and we're going to play unselfish for everybody. I mean, Aaron Wheeler ended up at Purdue. Bisa Beatty ended up at Virginia Tech. Makai Ashton-Langford went to Providence, and now he's at BC. AJ Reeves is at Providence. David Duke is at Providence. You know, we got kids that went to Niagara, Great Kwaka Mensah. We had kids go to Ivy League schools. Tamenang Choh, who had a great career at Brown, who is going to transfer now because the COVID situation, can't play another year. Azar Swain, who's had a great career at Yale. I mean, we had, and there's more. That one went to Penn, I believe. Jared Simmons went to Penn. We just had so many kids who just sacrificed for us to win, and didn't worry about their rankings, didn't worry about how many points they scored. They just worried about, and me and Vin at one time I looked at each other and said, "You think we can win another game?" Like, there's gonna be a point where you just like, "Oh, I'm tired of winning," right? You gotta be like, "All right, man, we're gonna let this one get by." But that wasn't them. They just didn't believe that, and so it's one of those special moments. I'll never forget it.
Indeed, man. Shout outs to that 2016 squad. Now that squad was real. Oh yeah, and another I think that's something I definitely met you for the first time at the Big Strict Classic.
Yeah, we was down there. Yep.
the matchup between Makai and Isaiah Washington.
Yep. We was there.
Ever since then, I'm like, yo, Makai is the real deal.
Yeah. We was there. We had him there. We came down. We had a great time. I love going to New York. I love playing in New York. I love the atmosphere. I wish we could play there more often, but we love to play anybody. When we come every year and play the Lightning. We just scrimmage them every year. We come down and we play them. So I know, I just love coming to compete. We try to find, if it's the Wrens or whoever it is, we like when we get in those tournaments, we're like, put us against whoever is the top team. Because that's what we want to match up against them. I don't want to play you in the championship. I just rather get it over with. Let's just play now. Like, let's start waiting around, prolonging this thing. Let's just get to work, and then we can go home. If it's over, we can be done. Like, there's no reason to. I just want to play the best and compete against the best. And if we lose, I'm gonna tip my hat and tell you got me. And if I beat you, I'm gonna be like, great game. Like, let's do it again next time. So that's just I think that's what Vin and the rivals have been built upon, is competing. That's why I told you in the beginning, my philosophy is competing, because we want to compete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 2015, we had to beat Bam Adebayo and Dennis Smith Jr. in the semifinals, just to get to the championship, to play team loaded. So people don't understand how the teams in 2018, like, we went back to the championship against Compton Magic.
Mm-hmm.
2018 or 2019, whatever the last time we got, 2019. The last time we got I mean, we had to go against Compton Magic, and here we are again. No joke. I mean, they got 4 top 25 kids on their team, and they got Evan Mobley, who's the #1 player in the country, on their team. I mean, and here we are. We had to go through Matthew Hurt, who's at Duke right now. We had to beat his team in D1 Minnesota. And that same week, we had to beat Jalen Green and his team. And, he's on his way to the league. I mean, the list of the teams that we had to beat over and over again. And all we kept saying was, bring us the next best team. Bring us the next best team. And that's how we've always been. And that's why I think we've had great success. This decade has been crazy, amount of top 100 kids that we put in. And that's why when you look at our college list, right now, every night I got kids playing on television. It's crazy. Like, I have 25 current kids playing Division I basketball, and a lot of them are playing nightly on major television, CBS, Fox, ESPN, ACC network, Big Ten network. Like, it's just been a blessing, and it's because we compete.
That's big right there. Like 20 to have that amount of players on playing Division One basketball, like that's big right there.
Like currently, like not like over time,
Yeah.
like that are in right now playing.
I don't know how many programs even have anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Some programs might, but still to have that amount of kids playing on national television, it doesn't get any better than that.
Now we're about to put 7 more next year, and so we'll lose some
Mm.
because they're gonna graduate. But you're putting 7 more back into college basketball, and all levels of college basketball, like Ivy League schools, Patriot League schools,
Yeah.
Big Ten schools, ACC schools. Like it's not just like we it's a program that's not just based off of one person. It's based off of, we're gonna let the game dictate how good you are. And it's not going to be Tom Nelson or Vin Pastore or anybody else trying to manipulate the situation. It's going to be, the game is going to tell you if you're good or not. That's it. We're going to help you compete. We're going to help you play, but the game is going to tell you. And that's why the kids go off to college and they play, because they're not a system guy. They're ready to hoop.
I can't wait for this spring, because I know there's always been tournaments popping up in New England where the Rams, Lightning, BABC, you guys, Expressions, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to see that, because right now we don't know when the gyms in New York will be fully open for tournaments and stuff like that. So trips for me to Connecticut and Massachusetts, I'm willing to make those trips, What I was saying, I'm sorry. But yeah, I can't wait for the springtime for the tournaments to start up again, where you guys, BABC, Expressions, Team Spartans, and then Lightning, and so on come to play, and hopefully the NERR festival. You know what I'm saying? Like those games I love to see. In New York right now, we don't really have a timetable on when gyms will be open. Like the Gauchos, they having, like, little things here and there, but they can only have but so many people in the gym,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And then it's hard for places to be able to allow people entry. But slowly but surely, time will tell whether they'll be able to do things out here.
I hope.
But
That's what we're praying.
from what I hear, I mean, the summer leagues, I guess the Parks Department is allowing tournaments to put in their permits, so that's a step up.
Yeah, I think by the summertime we should be back to playing. I don't know about this spring. It might be like a local stuff, but I don't think we'll be flying around the country in the spring. I think we'll stay local and do some local stuff. And so the Northeast Hoops Festival could be a good thing to bring out the local talent in the area, where everyone could drive and not have to get on planes and fly the kids around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I hope that by the summertime we get to July, that we got some semblance of normalcy and we're back out, able to feel comfortable playing again and still being safe, but like more, still being able to go out there and play some.
Yeah, because the
These
South
kids need it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even though the coaches may or may not be able to be physically out there, you know what I'm saying? At least have them play in front of the cameras, the live stream, stuff like that. To where the coaches, can see it, But yeah, moving forward, Brimmer and May. Let's talk about, your time at Brimmer and May. And, let's talk about, first and foremost, let's talk about Brimmer and May, the school.
Great school. Don't got all the fancy buildings and stuff that all these other schools have. We're in a very tough area. It's very, not tough like tough neighborhood, but we're in a really rich area. So it's very affluent. So like buying buildings over there is very difficult to do. Trying to expand is hard. It's in a Chestnut Hill is a very affluent area. So the school is a beautiful school because the people at the school really, really care about the kids' well-being, and they really want them to strive to become their best. And because of that, that's why I haven't left. Is because the people are so good. The people you work with, the people you're around, they got the kids' best interest at hand. All kids, doesn't matter what walk of life they come from, what socioeconomic status they come from, or what racial ethnicity they are, boy or girl or gender. None of that stuff matters. All it matters is beautiful kids working hard, learning how to grow up, and everyone loves the community. The community is beautiful. So when you get ingrained in that community, you're like, man, I like this place. And they take care of you. They take care of the staff. I mean, we've been getting COVID tests this entire time every week. And then starting in wintertime, they've been COVID testing the entire school, all the kids from the lower school all the way to the high school, all the faculty. Doesn't matter if you're working in the kitchen or if you're coming in to like teach cycling class, like a spin class. They all get tested. They test everybody. They pay for it to test everybody. They care. And so academics is on par. That's why our kids are able to go to all these great schools in the area. And I couldn't ask for a better place from a day school, because I wish that I could have been able to stay at home and go to a school in that situation would give me good.
Go ahead.
No, I said they get taught well and they're prepared. So they're always able to go to pretty good schools. And then basketball-wise, we just a small school that plays against some of the best kids, the best teams in the country, and the best league in the country. I consider AAA and AA NEPSAC to be the best league in the country as a league. Like, there might be teams that are better, but as a league, night in and night out, you won't see more scholarship players in any league than you'll see coming out of the NEPSAC.
Indeed, absolutely. You guys are playing in a really, really good league. And plus, I looked up the school, Chestnut Hill. Isn't that where Boston College is at?
Oh yeah, we're a mile. We run to Boston College all the time. We run around the reservoir at Boston College. It's a mile down the street.
Wow, you guys are right there.
Yeah, we run over to Boston College all the time.
Well, let's talk about basketball. Speaking of Brimmer and May, you guys have a very talented team year in and year out. Talk a little bit about the team. Some of the standouts.
Yeah, so in this little small school, I've produced I don't know, I think 14 or 15 scholarship players now in the last decade, which to me is a pretty good a year. Lately, it's been even increasing. Just these last few years, it's been getting even more. Again, early on, I sent a couple kids to Fordham, but that was way in the beginning. Like Ryan Canty went to Fordham.
Shout out to Ryan Canty, man. I used to love watching him throw dunk. Yo, he was a
he
beast.
He's a beast.
He was a monster. Too bad Fordham couldn't win, but at least he was one of the main reasons why I went to Fordham games.
Yeah, Ryan Canty is a Brimmer. He came for a post-grad year for 1 year, or senior year, did a senior year at Brimmer May. So we got to see him go off. And then the next kid I got was Sammy, who went to Drexel. I had another, and he went to Drexel, and he was a 1,000-point scorer from the city of Chelsea, and in Puerto Rican, and he was able to go and play Division I, which a lot of people didn't know he was going to be able to do. Then after that, that led to my other kid, David Watkins, ended up going to UNH and playing, and became a captain, 6'8" kid. And then Mark Gasparini went off to American, and now he's at UMass, 6'10". And then that led me, once that group of kids led me to AJ Reeves, who ended up being a Gatorade Player of the Year, top 50 kid in ESPN. And now he's at Providence. He started out like gangbusters. His first 10 games, man, he was on fire. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
Looked like he was looked like he was ready, man. And then he's had some people don't understand, he's had some injuries.
Mm-hmm.
His foot, he's had some foot injuries, and he's been trying. But when you hurt your foot consistently, it's not even the same foot. It's just been different. It's just it hasn't been easy to get to properly get into the same type of condition and same athleticism that he walked in with. So he's getting a lot better. I think he's playing defense a lot better, and I think his numbers are starting to increase over the last 4 games. I think he's at 14.5 points a game over the last 4 games. He's shooting 37% from three. So he's starting to creep back to the numbers that we expect him. But he was a fantastic high school player, and he's averaging double digits. So in the Big East, and he's a kid from Roxbury. He's a kid from the inner city, grew up in the projects, and he's playing on national television. And he went to a small school like Brimmer. So after he came, then all of a sudden I had another kid I sent to Merrimack College. He's playing there. He's a sophomore. He's doing fantastic over there. They went D1 and they ended up winning the league last year as the first time in Division I. And they've been fantastic. And now, that's led me to a couple kids who I got this little guy named Kyrell Luc, who's about to head off to Holy Cross, and he's gonna make them. They're gonna get excited to watch him play. But he was a NEPSAC Player of the Year. So you're talking about the kid going to Holy Cross who, in the league that we're talking about, he was the best player, averaging 26 points a game as a point guard. And then the other kid's going a mile down the street, Gianni Thompson, to Boston College. And he'll be the first time a Boston kid has gone to Boston College in a long time. So 6'8", can do 6'7", 6'8". He got a lot of different tools. So I expect him to have a good career. He's worked very hard. I think he's in the top 150, but that would have changed had we got to play some. We just haven't got to play any. So those are my stand. I mean, I think I've produced like 15. I had another kid go to University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, 6'8" kid, 6'9" kid, Isaiah Fontaine. I've had a couple kids walk on. One walked on at BU, one walked on at Colgate. Like I've had from the small school, we've done a good job and we've been competing. And this year I thought we had a chance to be one of the best teams in the league this year. I had all the components. I had height, I had length, I had depth. I had guys that could put the ball in the hoop like Kyrell and Gianni. I had a lot of good stuff, and it's, things happen. So we just pivot and we get ready for the next group.
Are they going to be able to play this year?
No, it was too much. The logistic, it was just too hard because the NEPSAC is played in multiple states in New England, and so like you can't leave your state. You can only play within inside your state. And then a lot of these are boarding schools, so now you got to like get up on their campuses. They don't really want to let anybody outsiders come onto their campuses,
right? And
so it just became too hard to like
navigate. Yeah,
it's too hard, and you want to be safe, and you don't want to be the person that caused an outbreak, right?
Yeah.
Or anybody sick.
Nobody wants to. Yeah.
I don't want that on my conscience. So we just been working.
Yeah, long as people stay masked up. You'll be fine. Like throughout this pandemic, I've been in Minnesota, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and I've been fine. I've been healthy.
It's good.
But everybody doesn't share the same optimism, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
So since I can't change everybody's mind, or I can't get everybody on the same page, because the country couldn't get on the same page. So I decided that we just gonna work. We just gonna work in silence. And good thing is I got those guys into school early, so that was all taken care of. So I had no pressure of that. And now just the next group of kids, I'm just working. We just gotta get better. We gotta get stronger, bigger, faster. And the next time someone sees us play, they need to be like, "Yo, they real." That's all I've been preaching. Is like, let's make sure that the next time we make our first impression. We make a good first impression because they haven't seen us play in a long time.
Indeed. So this is one of before I ask that, you were talking about Gianni being a Boston kid. What part of Boston is he from?
So he grew up in Dorchester, and then his mom, she wanted him to be in a better school system, so she moved to Newton. So he's been in that area. Newton is basically another neighborhood. Chestnut Hill is basically a neighborhood of Newton. So he then went from Dorchester to Newton, and then he's been in that area for a long time now. So he's just gonna go down. We call him the Prince of Chestnut Hill since he's been constantly in Chestnut Hill so much.
Wow.
But yeah, he's a Dorchester kid. He played, he's a Boston kid. His mom grew up in Dorchester. He's Haitian. He's half Haitian, half Jamaican. So
wow, Caribbeans.
Oh yeah, he's very. They go to church a lot. He's a great student. He's got all A's. Got like 1B in all A's. Like he's a fantastic kid, and he's humble, and he's worked really hard. A lot of people didn't think he was very good early on, and he's worked very hard to get where he's at. He's very talented. He actually doesn't know that he's that good yet. When he realizes that he's really good and he starts playing with that, that ability to say I can actually dominate games, then we got a chance. Because he can do everything. He can rebound, he can dribble it, he can facilitate it, he can shoot it, he can post it. So looks like a good player, man. He had a lot of good interest from a lot of people. I mean, he had offers. Xavier wanted him, Penn State, Richmond, which is surprising, but Richmond's a really good program. We have a kid at Richmond, so they Tyler Burton, who's done a really good job. So a lot of good schools were interested in him, and he chose to go to Boston College and stay around here.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So talk about a little bit about the breakout event that you did back in September at the Dana Barrows facility.
Yeah, I was just trying to do something because I knew the kids were missing out on a lot at the time. I knew they was missing out on a lot of exposure. So I was just I got a lot of the live streams happening, and I was just trying to do something. I just really wanted to do something to help with this whole thing. I mean, mentally, I was lost too. I mean, I'm used to coaching basketball, so I was lost. So it helped me out as much as anybody else. And I thought, we could give them some tangible stuff that they could see and they could work on and see some other kids. I made sure that I brought some of the top level kids down that I could bring, considering that we only could bring a certain amount of kids into the gym. It was a restriction of how many players could be in the gym. So I thought it was a pretty good event. We've ran events before, so we know we've done them before. When we bought the Ballas, we ran a lot of events. Ballas TV ran a lot of events. So that's why I said we might get back to it again soon.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely up there for sure. I'm definitely coming back up there. I had a really good time at that camp. And the Dana Barrows facility, I love that place.
It's
one of
beautiful.
the nicest basketball facilities I've ever been to in my life. I've been to so many, but that facility is top 5. Shout out to Dana Barrows too.
It's nice. Dana Barrows, he be there working too. He be in the gym a lot. He be there working with kids. So he's a legend. I mean, I don't know how many people know, like, this guy could hoop. He's like 5'10", but he could hoop. And he scored a lot of points. And I don't know if they know he's one of the better shooters to ever play in the NBA. He's fantastic, man. So I think some people see him and they're like, oh, that's Dana Barrows. I'm like, but y'all, like, I remember watching Dana Barrows hooping in the NBA and for a lot of years.
Yeah, man. So this is one of the questions that I love to ask before I lead up to the final question. If you could go back to 1992, in a time machine to 1992, what would you go back and tell a young Tom Nelson at 15 years old as he's navigating through a very rough area in South Central L.A.? He's dealing with a mother who's going through her own personal struggles with drugs and has a shot at going to all the way 3,000 miles away to the East Coast to start a new life, new education, and a new opportunity for himself.
Tell him to trust himself. Trust yourself. Trust what you've been able to do so far. What you've done so far is so big, and don't second guess yourself. Whatever you feel, do it. If you believe in it, you're a good person. Just trust yourself. Because sometimes through the course of time, I always second guessed if I was doing right. And most of the time, my heart was always in the right place. So it didn't matter if if I failed some. It's okay to fail. So I would say trust yourself, because failing is okay. Sometimes we're afraid of that. It's okay, as long as you're trying to do the right thing.
Indeed. Final question. What's next in the future for Tom Nelson and the Rivals Basketball Club?
We trying to get after it, man. We want to get back to being at the top of the country. We want to be known as the best program in the country. I want to win another championship. I've been to the championship on 3 occasions. I've only come away with 1. I'm feeling like a young LeBron right now, where I'm not quite getting the type of wins I need to get. So I'm resetting. I'm going to get me some young kids who got a lot of talent. We need to get them to compete at the level that we need them to compete at, and to play the way we need them to play defensively, back the way we were in 2016. And I expect in a couple of years here that I'll be back again on top of the grassroots world as one of the best programs in the country again. That's what we're vying for, and that's what we're trying to get after. And we've been hard to work to make this to happen again. I always don't want things to be like a fluke. I'm always trying to be consistent. So I'm trying to we're gonna get back to the top of the mountain again.
Well, Tom, thank you for coming on to share your story. And I wish you, Brimmer and May, and Rivals nothing but the best moving forward.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. You my mans. I couldn't wait. I was so excited. I've been doing some podcasting on my own, so like I was happy to go on someone else's podcast and especially yours, because I know you've done a lot of great things. Again, y'all down in New York, I respect it, and we love coming down there. Trust me. So whenever y'all got something going on, don't forget about us up here in Massachusetts. We be down there.
Indeed. Well, everybody, this is episode 105 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to my guy Tom Nelson. He's doing wonderful things up in the New England area. For those that support Tom from South Central Los Angeles, Salem, Oregon, Boston, Massachusetts, Brimmer and May, Phillips Andover, Dean College, Framingham State, and most importantly, fans of the Rivals Basketball Club. Go check out this episode on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.
Later.